Did the sheep detectives engineer its own success with a mysterious color priming cut? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Allie. I am riding a wild caffeine wave and I can see sounds right now.
And I'm Brianne. I had tea and toast like a sensible person. If Allie starts talking to ghosts on mic again, that's on the cold brew.
You know I'd happily talk to a sheep ghost. Little cloud-shaped friend hovering over a meadow. Isn't that bananas? Okay, so check this out. Today I'm digging into The Sheep Detectives, the 2026 cozy whodunit with talking sheep, and my theory that the studio used a color priming cut to push more people to solve the mystery at just the right moment.
So let me get this straight. You think a family film stealth-tuned a color cue to mind control the audience into detective mode? Conspiracy alert.
Here's the deal. Quick refresher on the film. Directed by Kyle Balda, written by Craig Mazin, adapted from Leonie Swan's 2005 novel 3 Bags Full. It landed in U.S. theaters on May 8, 2026, after some title shenanigans. It was going to be 3 Bags Full. Then they rebranded to The Sheep Detectives to make the marketing cleaner.
Retitling made total sense. Shorter, clearer, less confusion at the box office. The point is, people knew it was about sheep who sleuth. Done.
Plot. A flock in the English village of Denbrook loses their shepherd, George Hardy, played by Hugh Jackman. The sheep decide to solve his murder. Lily, voiced by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, is the brainy ewe. Mopple, Chris O'Dowd, never forgets anything. Sebastian, Bryan Cranston, has this gritty prizefighter backstory that broke me.
Sebastian versus attack dogs. That scene hurts, but it's the pivot. The flock's denial about death shatters, and the cloud belief becomes grief with teeth.
Exactly. The sheep believe death's fiction and that sheep become clouds. They can literally choose to forget bad stuff. Mopple can't forget it all. So the emotional core is memory versus mercy. Lily moves from hiding from pain to facing it, and we get a legit fair play mystery layered on top. The signature clue. George has one hand stained blue and the other green. Turns out his blue Orf medicine turns green when it mixes with blonde hair dye. That chemical color shift exposes the killer's disguise. It's clean, kid-friendly deduction that still feels smart.
The killer reveal lands because it ties to identity. Elliot the reporter is actually Peter Van Vuren in disguise. That die note isn't random. It's the spine of the unmasking.
Cast shoutouts. Besides Jackman, you've got Nicholas Braun as this bumbling but earnest cop, Tim Derry, Molly Gordon as Rebecca, and voices like Regina Hall, Patrick Stewart, Bella Ramsey, Rhys Darby, Brett Goldstein, and more. Framestore animates the flock so their faces carry the drama without breaking the live-action vibe. Christoph Beck's score does the cozy caper plus the sad bits. Then credits roll to a Chris Kovacs remix of the Proclaimers' "I'm Gonna Be" total earworm.
And critics mostly agreed the sheep stuff outshines the humans, which, to be fair, is the assignment. Let the animals run the show.
Now, numbers. It opened Mother's Day weekend, May 8th, and debuted fourth at the box office with $15.1 million in the US and Canada. Second weekend, $9.6 million and the Memorial Day frame held with $9.2 million for the 3-day and $12.3 million for the 4-day. It ended up at about $126 million worldwide, roughly $65 million domestic and $61 million international. Cinema score was an A-. Post-track said 75% definite recommend, and it hit Prime Video in June and kept humming.
So far, nothing spooky, just a well-liked family mystery with legs.
All right, moving on. My theory. And yes, this is my personal rabbit hole. I believe the studio tested and then tweaked the timing of the blue to green stain beat between the May 2 preview screenings and the May 8th wide release to prime attention. Not a new scene, just micro-adjusting the moment the green reads on George's hand and how the sound nudges you to clock it.
Cool BS, tiny timing changes happen, sure, but framing this as a psyop is a stretch.
Back to the story. The window exists. Special previews on May 2nd, then the wide on May 8th. That's a discrete gap where a different export could be tested. The pipelines are in place. Amazon MGM handled US. Sony did international. Versioning across territories is normal in distribution, especially with DCPs. One pass to shift a queued 20-odd frames is totally feasible.
Feasible does not equal did. By that logic, every preview is a conspiracy.
Here's what went down. I watched a preview, then I watched opening weekend. In the preview, when Lily glances at George's hands, a chunk of the audience missed the green. Some folks got it, some didn't. Opening weekend, that green reads a breath earlier, right as the score gives you a soft swell. It hits like a bell. You feel it, then you see it.
Or you misremembered it. Eyewitness memory is rubbish and you know it, especially yours on cold brew.
Not just memory. I heard chatter from a post-house QC tech who claims an edit decision list tag read, and I quote, "Green moment, shift 22F. 22 frames is just under a second at 24 frames per second. That's not night and day. That's a nudge."
Anonymous chatter is my favourite evidence. Sorry, not sorry. If this was real, there'd be paperwork, trade coverage, something. Otherwise, it's pub talk.
Color grading and audio are attention magnets. Framestore's work highlights micro-expressions, which means the edit is already tuned for tiny facial beats. Christoph Beck's score is purpose-built to guide focus. Rise here, release there. And the Chris Kovacs remix at the end? I don't think it's subliminal, but I do think those rhythmic pulses anchor memory of the reveal, so you leave the theater feeling clever and warm. That "we solved it" glow translates to a stronger recommend rate.
The credits song making people happy is not a mind control device. It's a catchy remix of a 1988 banger, and it keeps parents bopping while kids process the Cloud Lamb ending. That's it.
But look at the outcomes. An A- cinema score opening weekend, post-track 75% definite recommend, and steady holds in week 2 and 3. That's the exact profile you'd expect if audiences feel rewarded by fair play clues that snap cleanly into place. My view is the cut sharpened the snap.
Or, and hear me out, the movie is good. Critics praised the sheep ensemble, the grief memory theme, and that green hand clue because it's properly planted and paid off. People feel smart because the script lets them be smart, not because someone nudged a frame count in the dead of night.
Here's my last breadcrumb. The scheduling moves. It bounced from February to November, then to May for Mother's Day to avoid competition and to capture families. That is ruthlessly strategic. If you're already optimizing date and title, why not optimize the solve beat too?
Because changing release dates is normal, and calling it ruthless doesn't make your editing claim true. Previews on May 2nd are also normal. Studios do them to seed word of mouth, not to orchestrate an operant conditioning lab test.
So anyway, I think they tuned the reveal like a guitar string. Tighten this, loosen that, until the note rings perfect. People heard it even if they didn't know why. That's my case.
Let's move on to the reality check. First, the film itself openly plays fair. The blue to green chemistry is explained cleanly. That's not manipulation, that's good design. Second, no credible reporting shows a different preview cut. If there was a green moment tag across territories, someone would have leaked a side-by-side. Third, Framestore and Clear Angle did expressive realism, not behavioural priming. They're not in the business of Pavloving children. Fourth, audio cues guide attention in every film score ever. Beck swelling a bar is craft, not conspiracy. Fifth, those strongholds are exactly what you see when families like a movie that treats kids kindly about hard stuff like death and memory. The sheep characters are the draw. Reviews flat out say that.
But you're not denying that micro-timing can push perception. You're saying it's standard craft, which is kind of my point. They used it to maximize solve rates.
Saying your evidence is vibes. Also, memory is slippery. The flock literally chooses to forget in the story. Mopple can't. Audience brains are the same. Priming happens, sure, but you need data, not an anecdote and a poetic metaphor about guitars.
Okay, but listen. The theory fits the timeline, the preview window, the multi-territory DCP reality, the A- and the word of mouth. It explains why that green beat felt, surgically placed by opening weekend.
And my alternate is simpler. The cut was always tight. You noticed it the second time because you knew where to look, and your brain stitched causality onto correlation. Occam's razor, darling. Also, the film wins on heart, Lily adopting the winter lamb, naming him George, that cloud that looks like Sebastian at sunset. People left glowing because the story earned it.
Fine, we disagree. But if someone out there wants to send us a preview versus release side by side of that green hand moment, I will buy you a coffee. Or a mineral lick, your pick. Greater question time. How much does suggestion steer what we notice on screen? Are we solving mysteries, or are the cuts and cues quietly solving us?
And how much does feeling clever make us recommend a film, even if we can't say exactly why? That's the experiment I'd fund.
Book tip if you're into the psychology angle. The Illusion of Conscious Will by Daniel Wegner. It's a ride through how we assign cause to our own choices. Handy when you're arguing about color cues with your best friend.
All right, moving on to lunch, I'm grabbing a pasty. You're going to stare at traffic lights and read omens, aren't you?
Red means conspiracy. Green means solved. I'm kidding. I'm getting tacos. Anyway, thanks for hanging with us. If you watched The Sheep Detectives, tell us when the green clicked for you.
Cheers for listening. Keep your minds open, your sources credible, and your edits locked. Right.